Greetings, brothers and sisters, and welcome to our study today, the 9th of July, 2025, the 9th of August, 2025, where we are continuing our look at a study entitled Pregnancy and Midwifery. We hand it over to Brother Keagan for the prayer thought and opening prayer.
Prayer thought. Our prayer thought is as follows. CSW 43 paragraph 2, CSW 43 paragraph 2, it says as follows. It says, we need to understand these words of Christ. The flesh profiteth nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. The holy word accepted and brought into the practical life. Spiritual life consists in Christ being the light and the life of the soul temple. Spiritual life consists in Christ being the light and life of the soul temple. As the blood is the life of the body, all who study the word are represented as eating the word, feeding on Christ, even as their own bodily necessities must be supplied daily. So the word of God must be daily studied, eaten and digested and practiced. This sustains the nourishment to keep the soul in health. The neglect of the word means starvation to the soul. The word describes the blessed man as one meditating day and night upon the truths of God's word. We all are to feast upon the word of God. The relation of the word to the believer is a vital matter. Appropriating the word to our spiritual necessities is the eating of the leaves of the tree of life that are for the healing of the nations. Study the word and practice the word, for it is your life. Okay. So we're going to pray with this prayer thought. We are praying, our Father which art in heaven, we thank you for today, the Sabbath, and we thank you for the reminder that we have to feed on your word so that we have life, because you said that you are life, you are the light and the truth. So by feasting on you, or feasting on the word of God, that is the only way we are going to have life. May you help us, O Lord, to meditate daily upon your word, and may you increase our wisdom so that we will be able to fear you and to hearken unto your word. In the name of Jesus, we do pray with thanksgiving in our hearts. Amen. So in this presentation, I think we've done many times, 3 times or so. We've done 3 times. This is the 4th day. So from the time we began, we are certain saying that the one who should be a midwife should be a female, not a male. But today's world, they have what you call, they've simplified the things. Even a male person can study midwifery, can become a midwife. But in the olden times, it was not so. A midwife was ever a female. Okay. We've also ascertained saying that in the issues of dealing with the private life of females, a male person is not suitable to handle that. A female person is suitable for that. Let males handle males. Let females handle what? Females. That we have ascertained. Okay. And from that also, we've seen saying that in midwifery, is also our calling. We've ascertained that. That is our calling. We should not shun this. It's our calling so that we reduce temptations and sin. Because if we will not, the problem is that we as the church or the people of God, we have neglected everything that we're supposed to be doing. We've left everything in the hands of whom? The government. There's a book that is dedicated to awaken us. That book is called what? White House Recruiter. And White House Recruiter also awakens us. Okay. We should not leave everything entirely in the hands. Even in the wars, these wars that we are seeing, White House Recruiter dedicated saying, we think is the America, we think is the what? Is the Russia. But it says no. It's not about them, it's about us. Religion has a big role to play. Okay. Also, likewise, the health of the nation, religion has the big role to play. And in the series of these studies, you discover saying sanitarian work was instituted by God for this one purpose, is to convert the conventional medicine, to convert the allopathic medicine. That was the sole purpose of why he had to go down, why he had to find, what do you call, or bring sanctified and sanctioned the sanitarian work, was to convert the allopathic medicine. But to the church was to bring what you call to advance present truth. Okay. To us, amongst us, is to advance present truth. But to the world, to the nation, is to convert the allopathic medicine. So how is the world going to be converted if we are not adhering to the principles of God? One of the principles of God is that we should carry up what you call midwifery work. Okay. And midwifery, when we are learning anatomy and physiology, discover that from the cell, the next thing that you are going to see is the fetus. Right? You understand? So just from the cell is the fetus. So the fetus, so meaning the caring of the child and the birth of the child are the basics of life that we should embrace. Because if we miss these, then there's no way we're going to help to Christianize the world. There is no way. Because the only way we can Christianize the world as the gospel workers is beginning first with the cell, then the child development, then the birth of the child. Okay, that's what we've discovered so far, saying that, and there are a lot of warnings. You discover that God's plan, as we are very informed, saying God's plan was not that we should do the gospel ministry. The gospel ministry was necessitated because of what? Because of sin. Now, because of sin, because it was a duty of the parent, primarily, to train the child, to Christianize the child. It was the duty. But because today, the parents, beginning from the parents and everything, health, the midwives, they do not know God. So therefore, when a child is born, they are ignorant of God. Okay, they are ignorant of God. And they grow up, they surpass the theta stage, they surpass the childhood, or they call it what? They surpass the moral stage which were supposed to instill the child with morals. Then the time now we catch up with them is the time now when they contracted what you call bad morals. And you're trying to teach them the gospel way to instill good morals, which is very difficult or impossible. And it will take a miracle for such people to be converted. These are things that we know. So we are, what do you call, it's a miracle for us to receive this message or to present this message. That's the reason we're seeing it to be very difficult to practice, because how we grew up, we never had this message. So you've seen how difficult now this is. So the importance of this message is that we should concentrate on this. And if we concentrate on this, we'll be bringing up not brutes, but righteous children. Not a brute. Because there are others that are brutes. You know, a lot of brutes we call them junkies today. There are a lot of children that are brutes today. Junkies. They do not have moral standards in their life. They are brutes. Okay. So we're looking at now the contraction. Okay, contraction of labor. Looking at pregnancy and midwifery. Okay, contraction of labor is this one. Okay, so we've reached at the point of looking at parturition or childbirth. Childbirth. So parturition, this is the correct term for the process of childbirth. Parturition, this is the correct term for the process of childbirth. The emergence of the child, from its mother. It starts with a signal from the pituitary gland. It starts with a signal from the pituitary gland. The hormone oxytocin, this is the one that we labored to explain that time, says the hormone oxytocin is secreted from the mother and the process begins. The hormone oxytocin, this is a happy hormone which it can be brought about when we feel appreciated, happy, complimented upon, or hugged. This hormone is the oxytocin, is the happy hormone. Okay. So this hormone is released or secreted from the mother, and the process begins of childbirth. Okay. So others again, they may ask a question, says if a woman is not felt happy, is not feeling, is not happy, can delay labor as well. If a woman is not complimented or appreciated, can delay labor. But when you are learning abortions, you discover saying that a woman, when she has fear, hate, or threatened, she feels not appreciated, it can cause miscarriages. Okay, in the types of abortions, it's covered among the types of abortions is what we find the threatened abortion. Okay, threatened abortion. So meaning when a person feels frightened, can he have abortions or can have miscarriage or abortions? It's called threatened abortion. So when we're learning, when it is full term, we learned saying the full term is 42 weeks or 9 months. Then when this is ripe, we see that there's a signal to the pituitary gland. Then the hormone oxytocin is released. Then the process begins of childbirth. Okay. So in the hospital, they use pitocin and the syntocinon are synthetic forms of this hormone used to induce labor. So, for instance, there's a certain case where someone had the signs of, I think that we had the case of someone that was what you call ever depressed. A woman was ever depressed, and she reached, is it 7 months old of pregnancy. Okay, then she began to see signs of abortion. You see, like blood. Okay, so they took her. They took her to the hospital. Then they induced. So we see what they use. The hospital, they use the mimic hormone, synthetic hormone that mimics oxytocin is this one, pitocin, under this name, to induce or regulate the induction of childbirth. So they did. Then the child was born prematurely. Then they helped with that. So at the hospital, they do induce by trying to mimic a fake oxytocin. So there are drugs which they do that to induce the labor. Okay. To induce the labor. But in tradition, they don't use oxytocin to induce the hormone. They use castor root, huh? They use castor root. They do the cis bath. The cis bath is where you sit in hot water for 15 minutes. You have a cis bath. So they get castor root, the root, then they boil they do a decoction. Then in that water, for hot water, but cannot burn you, they sit in there, unless you are pregnant. Then you want to induce labor. And this is practiced when labor has delayed. Yes, labor has delayed. They usually do that when labor has delayed. Others, if they want to do, because it's painful and they can't endure they've kept the child for so long. Others, they want to just do what you call labor, uh, to have a childbirth. Then they induce labor. Then those people who are what you call exotic people that are living not in Zambia, they use what you call evening primrose. So these are exotic medicine, herbal, that they use. Evening primrose, others, they can insert the oil into the vagina, then it can induce the labor, or they can be taking evening primrose. Others, they use dew seed, a teaspoon of dew seed, it can induce labor. Okay. So there are different methods of inducing labor in what you call herbal principles. But in allopathic way, they use synthetic methods. And since they've studied saying what makes someone to have childbirth is the oxytocin. So they've manufactured oxytocin hormone, okay, to induce labor. Any questions on this one?
Maybe not necessarily a question, but looking at the way our parents were like encouraging the husbands to be happy in the home towards the time that the wife is supposed to give birth. I think now I understand to say it was more like to help the woman be in a position to produce this hormone, oxytocin, so that at least she'll be able to be helped in labor. That's why you find that men would know that some of the cravings that the woman would have is not natural, but for the sake of not disturbing her moods, so to say, they will be able to run and get those things. Yeah, I think now we understand why they were always, or they are always being encouraged to say, in those delicate moments, be loving and caring to your husband. I think it goes back to what Brother Keagan you taught the other week, that many a time we just used to see like the old women go to a man and say, why is your wife the pregnancy not falling? It means you are doing something outside your marriage. You understand that? So it's like they would sense that maybe the care has reduced, or there's something that the husband is doing outside the marriage. And many a time it was discovered that, true to their suspicions, the men would start confessing that, oh no, I did this, that, and the other. So the men now were being counseled to say, no, 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 no. When your wife is the pregnancy is this period or at such a level, you need to stick to your wife. So I'm sure these are things that now we are seeing that their counsel had pretty much nothing to do with the process, except it helped the woman now to feel loved, so that the process could be able to happen naturally. I think those are some of the things that maybe tradition was trying to bring in, though they lacked the understanding as to exactly what was taking place in the woman. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so any more comments? Yeah? So meaning that we need the love in the home, in a nutshell. When there is a pregnancy, we need the love in the home. Okay, especially when it is almost right. Why? We need the love in the home. Yeah. So the stages of childbirth is what we call labor, birth of the babe, and birth of the placenta. So labor, number one is labor. Number two is birth of the babe, birth of the baby. Okay. Birth of the placenta. Okay. So if you just think saying there's only birth of the baby, you forget the placenta. You forget the placenta. So there are two births. There's the birth of the babe and the birth of the placenta. These are very important. Others, they say the birth of the placenta is a crucial one. Okay, but others, they say no, the birth of the child is a crucial one. But the placenta, because the placenta, you have to assess it. There's the assessment of the placenta when you've given you've given birth to a placenta. To also check if the child is healthy, and if there are no remains of the placenta in the womb. Which one? No.
Okay, so for the sake of recording, Brother Keagan will repeat. So Brother Nala is asking to say, that sac in which the baby is born, is it the placenta? And so Sister Banda has just said that no, the sac is where the baby is, but the placenta is that which is connected, which connects the baby to the mother. I'm sure that's it, right? Thank you.
Yeah. So the amniotic sac is not a placenta. The placenta is in a Mundan language or in a practical language, it's like the root of the tree. The root of the tree, you know, the tree taps its nutrient from where? From the soil to the root, okay, to the bark, then the stem and the leaves. So God, how he's done it is like this. The child will tap nutrient or food through what we call the root or the placenta. The placenta is like a root, So it can, you know, the womb. The womb is like this. So that placenta root is a root that can attach anywhere in the walls of the uterus. So it can attach here, it can attach anywhere. So that at times when it attaches near the opening of the womb, okay, if it happens like that, it means that a child cannot be delivered through what? Then you have to, others at the hospital, they will suggest saying you have to undergo C-section. If that root has attached itself near the opening, okay, yes, blocks the way. But those are rare cases. It can, hello? Yes. So those are the rare cases. But that is the placenta. Root, so then that root it will be tapping nutrients now. It will have what you call, it will have a vein and two arteries. These are the things that we're going to learn to check. To have a vein, it will have what you call a cord, an umbilical cord. Then from there, it will have a vein, one vein, two arteries. If you've given birth to this placenta, and or you've cut that stand, because before you give birth to the placenta, you have to cut, which you are going to learn. Let me not go in. Okay, but the answer was given. So labor, indication of labor, we discover that childbirth has three processes. The first one is labor. So the indication of labor, the three indications of labor, the first one is contraction begin. The contraction, they begin. Number two, the mucus plug is dispelled. The mucus plug is dispelled. Number three, amniotic sac breaks. This is just the first stage of childbirth. So, yes, under labor. So others, because of this contraction, they will go to the hospital. Okay, if you are amateurs, this happens mostly to the amateurs. Because once you it hasn't begun. It hasn't begun. Then at the hospital, they will not consider that this hasn't begun. No, they will keep you. Okay, because they are also, remember that at the hospital, all the hospitals is a teaching what they call it, what? Teaching hospitals. Okay, teaching hospitals. So the ones that handle this is the students. So they are learning. They are learning. Okay, so they'll keep you there. And if you're not fortunate, they will induce the labor or make you undergo C-section. You understand? Okay. So the other indication, mucus plug dispelled. So others, they go when the mucus has dispelled, then that's when they go. Others, amniotic sac breaks. So amniotic sac breaks. So if now you are advancing from being an amateur, amniotic sac, when amniotic sac breaks, you can wait. You can wait because this one, if the amniotic sac has broken, then the water it's oozing out. Choke. When that is done, you go because it will take 48 hours. 28 to 48 hours. When you go, then now you can go there. You will not spend a long time having what do you call the childbirth. Contraction. Contraction is defined as initial uterine contractions are short and mild, but frequency, intensity, and duration increase. It means that bamboyamba has to increase. Duration transition stage. The cervix completes dilation and stretches over baby's head. The entire process usually lasts from 4 to 18 hours. The patient was calling. Let me do. My God, let me check. Don't know if it was. Don't know if he's sick or what. Bipolar. Huh?
Okay.
We can start again.
You can just text instead so that you continue. Okay, so as Brother Keagan is attending to that, we actually appreciating a lot of things, especially through ignorance. We pass through some of these things, and then now we are seeing where mistakes were made and what was supposed to be done. Yeah, so we see that when somebody says you just start to prepare, not necessarily that you rush to the hospital. Because like we have seen, it shows that at least the first stage of labor has just begun. Then in next, you see like the mucus is dispelled. When I'm going to you find that whilst you are looking at that, then the amniotic sac breaks and then the water is coming out. People now will say, now we are very late now. And known to us to say, at least we still have about 4 to 18 hours in which to wait. Okay? So I believe are very important. And for us men, yes, we are learning them for the sake of those that we call our wives, and we are the ones who are there to attend. But for other people's wives, it is not our duty. That we should know. It is not our duty. Yeah. Or in an event that maybe our children begin to experience this, then we can pass the information if our wives are not here to say, okay, the next thing that you should look out for is A, B, and C. So that as they take them to the hospital, like Brother Keagan has advised, they don't wait there for too long. You see, like he has said that some of these processes will take between 28 to 48 hours. That's about 2 days. Now imagine you just the first contraction, then you rush to the hospital. Then it means that will prolong to about almost 3 days, isn't it, Brother Keagan? So now you start worrying. Say, from the time she went, nothing is happening. She's been there now how long? 3 days. So you are even the nurses in their panic mode. They'll say, "Oh, let us go for C-section." She can't bring out the child in a normal way. Unknown to all of us that actually we rush to go to the hospital before the final stages or indications of childbirth could begin. I think that's what Brother Keagan is bringing out. Thank you.
Yes. So you've seen now the transition period may even last 4 to 18 hours. Okay. That is contraction jab. The mucus plug hasn't yet dispelled. So the mucus plug falls out and the cervix dilates. So when the mucus plug it falls out, then the mucus now begin to dilate. It's the one now they will check at the hospital. The others at the hospital.
The cervix.
Yes.
So the mucus plug will begin to dilate.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, the cervix will begin to dilate. The cervix begins to dilate. So they will begin now to check that if the dilation has begun. So it will dilate 3 centimeters, 4 centimeters, 5 centimeters, up to 10 centimeters, the maximum dilation. Okay. So when this has broken, it is accompanied by a tinge of blood and is referred to as blood show. Others, this doesn't show. Some will not go blood. Others, they will just notice the contraction. Others, they will not even notice this contraction. The mucus dispelled, the blood they will not see. They will just see what do you call the water breaking. Yes, without water breaking. Then those are the ones that born with what you call, we learned it at what, a cow, but it's difficult. But yes,
maybe just a moment. Just a moment. Yeah. Okay.
So the question that is it possible to give birth without the water breaking? Yes. So the process of labor, as they have explained that has stages. So if the water has not broken, meaning you cannot give birth vaginally. Mostly those are the ones that do C-section. Okay. Yes, those are the ones that they usually do C-section. But yes, but if they are to give birth vaginally, they help break the sac manually. Yes, there are things they use to poke the sac so that the water can come out. Yes, because also the water and maybe the size of the baby cannot pass through the vaginal opening. Yes, because of the size. So that's why the water breaks, maybe also to reduce volume. That's why if there are any complications where the water has not broken, like it's been a long time, a person has been in labor and that stage is not yet there or it's delaying. So they rather poke the amniotic sac so that the water comes out, or they do C-section. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that was Sister Banda.
Okay. Welcome, Sister Olivia. So we are on amniotic sac, amniotic sac breaking. So before labor begins, the amniotic sac breaks and fluids gushes out. Sometimes the sac must be broken manually. Okay, the answer is talking about manual or manually. Don't know which is. Okay. So this is the one. Huh? Able to see it? Yeah. Are you able to see it? Hmm? Yes, Bala.
So, I remember.
Okay, just a moment.
Okay, so it's a comment and a question at the end of it all. Are you saying that there is no danger when the water breaks and then the child delays in coming out? Why I'm saying that is because I remember when my son Don was born, the water had to break, but she was not feeling any pain. There was no pain. There was no labor. She was just okay, but all the water poured out. So I remember when we took her to the hospital, to Chingwede, they said, no, 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 this is a danger. This one is a UTH case. But she wasn't feeling anything. She was not in labor. She was not in any pain, but all the water had poured out instantly. So when we took her to UTH there, she stayed there and they forced now labor. They induced, they gave her those injections. We went there, that was around 21 hours. It took the whole night until the following day, around 12 hours. That's when she was able to deliver. Now, the question is, those at the hospital said if they don't force induce the labor, it means the child will do what? Will suffocate. How true is that? That's the part I want you to explain. Yes.
Um, when the water comes out, mostly that there's a process. That means there's a connection between the mother and the child is breaking. So when the water breaks, so the water has come out because the baby is not getting any nourishment from the mother. So there has to be a short time. There's a time, I'm not really sure the duration of the baby can, yes, can endure that disconnection from the mother after the water has come out. So there's a certain period the baby can endure until they come out because they have to breathe on their own. So that's why when the baby is born, they make the child to cry so that they inhale the oxygen. Yes, so it's a complication when it takes long. The child takes long to be delivered after the water has come out. Yes, meaning there's a disconnection between the mother and the child. So the child cannot really like in.
Is that possibility of the child being passing?
Yes, those are the complications. Sometimes they don't even reveal to the family. They just tell you, oh, you delivered a stillborn, or yeah, like the baby died in the womb or died during childbirth. There are times that the delivery is delayed when the water has already come out. Yes, so that's why sometimes they do emergency C-section. Yes, even after, because some don't have contractions. Yes, like you said, others don't have contractions, but the labor is progressing. So mostly a person can give birth when there are contractions because the baby is also pushing their way out and also the mother also pushes, yes. So when there are no contractions, it's difficult. That's why they do sometimes episiotomy. In complicated cases, they do cesarean section. Yes. So meaning the disconnection between mother and baby. So the baby cannot be on their own, like cannot breathe, since there's no air. Yes.
So the period they give, we see, is it 48 hours? That's the period they give. From the breaking of the water up to the time when they have to see the child coming out. So they give 48 hours. If that is not happening, then there will be another option, inducing the labor.
Actually, maybe just an addition. If you heard what Brother Nalo was narrating, he said that the water came out, they were still home, right? And then they went to the hospital. Then they were told to say, it is an emergency. You need to go to the hospital. Then at the hospital, they were given injections. The baby was born after almost 24 hours, right? Because said in the night, then the following day, 12 hours. Okay, that's when the child was born. So with what Brother Keagan is telling us that it is in the range of about 48 hours. You see that the child was born okay, without suffocating. Like you see, Sister Banda was saying that she's not sure of the duration that the child can live. But now your case has helped us to understand that at least Dawn was able to survive at least those 24 hours plus, isn't it? Yeah, so showing that the time frame that Brother Keagan is giving us of 48 hours is within the range that the child cannot suffocate to death. I'm sure maybe that is what we are now understanding, because we have a practical case that we have brought in, and then we have a practical time when the sac was broken and the water gushed out, which means the child would not depend now on the oxygen from the mother, but was able to survive within those at least 24 hours from your narration, unless I didn't get the correct hours. Yes. So we see that this now helps us to stick to within the range. And he never suffocated, so to say. He still, yes, you see. So it pushed them into all those. So the period that Brother Keagan has showed.
So sometimes again, if they do that, I don't know whom you found, because the water can break, but it takes time for it to ooze out all of it. How did you know? How did you know? Hmm?
It's just broke all the water like back and just and it was water. I was shocked. Oh, so it meant the price of
It was just the entire bucket. Pooh.
just the bucket just pouring with the where water.
Okay.
It just broke like all the water almost
Okay. Okay. So the duration from that, if everything has come out, the duration they give is 48 hours. So suspect is that maybe they instilled fear there, saying this is what. Then where she went, they had to induce the labor. So because of fear, are they? There's zero dilation.
But you are denying the opportunity to those that to be able to follow the recordings. If you can start again. Yes.
Okay, so my statement is that the water had broken around 20 hours and she had to deliver the following day around 12 hours. So what I was saying is that even after, but she wasn't, the time when the water broke out, she wasn't feeling any pain. There was no contraction, no dilation. Even after they gave her the first injection, the inducement, labor inducement, it did not start there and then. They had to give another one, maybe even the third, for her to start having contractions. Okay, so you can see, yeah, so that's what I was just saying. That's what happened. And she delivered the following day, proves it.
Okay. Okay, so there the danger was the dilation that was not there. Hello? The danger was the dilation. Okay. Okay.
What surprised with the level of the water that was released? From what I was just reading right now, it was saying that actually the water decreases by the time the pregnancy reaches 9 months. And also the baby does what? Drinks that very liquid and is able to distinguish as in what is the smell of the same liquid. So you find that by the time the pregnancy is starting, the liquid is much more than the time when the time for giving birth.
So effacement or dilation. So the dilation, I think I mentioned about the dilation. Okay. So the fully or complete dilation is 10 centimeters. Okay. That is the complete. Yes. For every woman. Effacement means that the cervix stretches and gets thinner. Dilation, let me reduce the dilation means that the cervix opens. Okay. Dilation means the cervix opens. As labor nears, the cervix may start to thin or stretch, efface, and open, that is dilate. This prepares the cervix for the baby to pass through the birth canal, the vagina. Effacement. As the baby's head drops down into the pelvis, it pushes against the cervix. This causes the cervix to relax and thin out or efface. Effacement is described as if in percentage. Okay, so there will be 0%. The baby is facing, the head is facing down. Then complete effacement is 100%. That is 10 centimeters. So 0 is 0 centimeters. That is the dilation in terms of dilation. Dilation, after the cervix begins to efface, it will also start to open. This is called cervical dilation. Cervical dilation is described in centimeters from 0 to 10 centimeters. At 0, the cervix is closed. At 10, it's completely dilated. Delivery. Okay. What is crowning? This is when you can see the top of your baby's head through the opening of your vagina. That is crowning. The description of crowning, it feels like fire, ring of fire. It is the most painful. Okay. So I mentioned, I remember this, I mentioned this one. There's a time when I did this one. So So at the crowning, the crowning part, they will see, they will decide if it is slow or what, they can extend the passage by doing episiotomy or zero episiotomy. They will be able to determine that during that crowning period. Others, they use what you call, if we are failing to push, they use the vacuum evacuation. She putting a flu, she does her swab. The way they do, yes. Yeah, like the way vijana for Sulisa toilet, the vacuum cleaner, they do vacuum, they add on someone up mood. Understand? Vacuum evacuation. It's painful because the same vacuum evacuation is the one they use kusuka mara. Suka in the uterus, they use the vacuum evacuation. Or when I'm going to some of them, mamo kinachikoropo that. Na tonje.
No particle remains.
Yes. Vacuum evacuation. Okay, this is, they call another option called the vacuum extraction uses suction to help. This is the one I've talked about. Huh?
So just
I believe. Yes.
Okay, so it's a small question. You say that the baby also does push on its own. To what extent that the force of the baby, or does the baby push to a certain extent, then it stops? Or to what extent does the baby, or the baby continues pushing while you are helping, the mother is helping also? To what extent, or for how long does the baby does the pushing?
I can't really tell for how long, but it's per contraction. So the dilation of the cervix, it's also kind of related to the pushing of the baby because it's opening and also the baby, there's a contraction. So there's a documentary that I watched. So they were saying as the contraction comes, so it's like the baby also pushes, then goes back a bit. Okay. Yes, so that's why they say when they are telling the mother to push when it's time to deliver. Yes. So they say you push the contraction. So as so she's the mother is the one who guides. As the contraction comes, then she also tries to push. Yes, that's how.
So the mother is able to feel the baby when pushing.
Yes, most people are not aware. If you don't know, you can't tell it's the baby pushing. You just feel pain. Oh. Yes, so the contraction is the pain. Yes, it becomes intense as the cervix dilates more. Yes, so from the time you start, the labor starts, yes, as you are nearing delivery, the pain intensifies. So the more the cervix opens, the more the pain. Yes. So and the contractions also intensify. Yes. So per contraction, the mother is advised to push. Yes. Mostly they push for labors that are not really complicated. They push a few times. Yes, when it's already 10 centimeters, so the baby keeps it. So it's not pushing for a continuous period of time. So yes, like the pain comes for, I don't know, few seconds or something like that. Then yes, like that.
So the pain comes and goes.
Yes, and then the intervals shorten as delivery nears. Yes, comes minutes. Yes, 10 minutes in between. The pain, it goes for 5 minutes, comes back, 3 minutes, comes back, 2 minutes. Then when it's really shortens, like the interval really shortens, then they advise the mother to start pushing. That's if she has fully dilated.
So in addition, what's the standard, let's say the standard estimation from the moment the cervix open, let's say at 100%, and to the total production, what's the estimation?
When they say you can now deliver.
Yes, from the time the cervix opens to 10 centimeter, 100%.
Okay, so there's
no estimation of that.
I can say there's no really estimation, but maybe there's a period of time on which it's advised to deliver the baby, because there are times, mostly for first-time mothers, she might not know it's time to push. Yes, she can be 10 centimeters dilated, but she might not know it's time to push. Others try pushing before it's 10 centimeters, and they advise not to do that. There are others, they'll feel pain and feel like pushing. Yes, so that's where there are a lot of tears. Yes, if you push before it's 10 centimeters. Yes, so and mostly nurses, they just shout. So most mothers are not aware. Yes, so for the time, others, it can be fully, like in government hospitals, find that there are a lot of mothers who are about to deliver, and there are few midwives to help out. Others might be fully dilated, yes, and maybe they're just waiting for they keep enduring the pain. Others are able to push on their own, yes, like especially if a person is not a first-time mother, others they push. Yes, they help themselves deliver, and then maybe the midwives just come and help the delivery of the placenta and taking care of the baby. Yes, like mothers in old age, most of them would deliver. For example, my grandmother told me that she delivered twins alone in the house, and people didn't know actually. Yeah, though they were not the first baby, so she knew, and she would help mothers deliver. So yes, if you know, that's why some mothers, when it's not their first child, when they are in labor, they don't go to the hospital there and then. Yes, so you find that a woman will just reach the hospital, maybe within an hour, they deliver and they go back home. So mostly at the hospital, they discourage that, and they shout at those who come and stay a few minutes and they deliver. So they advise immediately you start contractions, go to the hospital. So they want to take full charge of everything. So yes, if those who really know and those who really experienced, they know when to go to the hospital. They know according to the intensity of the contractions and the interval. So maybe if it's coming after an hour, they know they're still far. When maybe after 15 minutes or 20 minutes in between, they know they have to go to the hospital, they are nearing delivery. Yes, so that's the case. Hope I've tried to.
Wow.
Oh,
Thank you.
Yeah. So last time I talked of the episiotomy. So this one I'm on a cephalic birth position. So ideally for labor, the baby is positioned head down, facing your back with the chin tapped to its chest, and the baby and the back of the head ready to enter the pelvis. This is called cephalic presentation. Most babies settle into this position with within the 32 to 36 weeks. That's the time when we see the child turning. So if the child within 32 to 36 weeks hasn't positioned him or herself in that manner, it means that there's a problem. The mother, they can only know. The question is, can the mother know if the child has turned? Yes, they know when the mimba wamakamba yagwa. The indication is ni kugwa chani. Kugwa umbwa. You see umbwa tiyagwa. Kapena igari mwamba. Then the other way to know is to use the ultrasound scan. So everyone can even know. Wamurodi yangazile. Those who are experienced, they know that the imimba inako. It's the one that we're discussing, saying when a woman, she's due, and the mimba igari pamwamba, sigaribe kubwa, it means that the child hasn't turned. So they'll be concerned. Even your mother, if she knows, then she sees your wife, mimba igari pamwamba, but she's due, they'll now begin to ask, what is happening? And they'll ask you if you are a thorn in her flesh. So as the baby's head is delivered, support it with your hands. Support it with your hands. And they will call it it, but it's a he. It will naturally turn to one side. The child, as you are delivering the child, you support the child with your hand. It will naturally turn to where so. Achoka straight. Achoka flattening. You are just supporting. Delivery of the baby. Mother may stand with her legs apart, squat, lean over, recline backwards, or lie down with legs. Support to facilitate the delivery. Others, they do different positions. But the normal is the squatting position. At the hospital, I don't know the position they use. They use the one for raising up the legs, lying on the back. Okay. So I don't know the reason. Okay. So a birth cow. This one we looked at the birth cow that time. Fontanelity, we looked at also the fontanelity that time. So we looked at when to worry when the chapa moved, right? Looked at when to worry. Okay. So delivery of the baby, immediately after the baby is born, okay, a bulb syringe is used to suction mucus from the throat and the nasal passages. The bulb syringe is used to suction the mucus, the nose, okay, from the throat and the nose to remove the mucus. Post-delivery of the baby, immediately after the baby is born, a bulb syringe, there's a syringe. You can use there's a bulb syringe here, I saw it. Okay? Bulb syringe. So to suction the nose, mucho sajani. They are bulbs. You buy bulbs. You buy those, all of them, or you can use them. Your what? You can use the moth. You can use the moth.
when it's out. Because if you take in the womb, it's not really oxygen. So it's the use the nose and going to the lung.
You get the mucus out.
Yes, that's when they try. Some try, some don't have. So it depends. But that's the process. Because I'm not on the difference of
Today's study, we are doing a lot of injustice to those who listen to the recording. Yeah, so Brother Nalo was asking that, yeah, at home when you don't have those, what happens? Or do the baby breathe when they are inside? So, Sister Banda.
Okay, cleaning the nose helps the baby to breathe with ease. Sometimes, since they were in the womb where there was the amniotic fluid, that water, yes, so it might have some entered in the nose or even the mucus. So it's to unblock the nostril. Breathe. So when you're at home, I'm not really sure. I can't advise if you can do suction. Since people in the old, they didn't have those. So you might guess maybe they might have used the mouth the way they use when the baby has a blocked nose or flu, they are failing to breathe. Yes, some mothers would suck out the mucus from the baby's nose. So if that works, it can be used so that the baby is able to breathe in. Because once they breathe in, that's why they try. So that even at the hospital, they try to rub the baby to excite the baby so that they can cry. So you can only cry, since crying it's like it's like exhaling or removing carbon dioxide. So it's to breathe in first. So they have to breathe in, then breathe out. That's when, yes. So that crying, it's a sign of breathing. Yes. So you have to get worried if your baby hasn't cried. Though there are some cases where a baby does not cry, but they are still okay. So it's just to make sure the baby is able to breathe. Yes, but it's one of the danger signs. So it's only experienced people you can have a baby who has not cried. Sure, they are okay.
Now,
Yes.
when you are talking of sucking, I have heard of the danger that the baby is still delicate. You may end up sucking the brains. Is it true? Is it true that if you oversuck, it's true, right? Yeah, that's the danger I've been told to say. You may end up
sucking the brain. So important times, better to plan. If you plan of a home delivery, you have someone who is experienced. Okay. The bulb has less. Okay. You explain further because it's kind of different to what you're saying.
Yes.
I'm saying the bulb syringe. The bulb syringe has more air compared to the mouth sucking. That's what I'm saying. Because most of the bulbs that they sell, the Tuma bulbs, I don't know if you've seen them. Okay. So those my bulbs, they have more volume of air, because the more the volume of air in the bulb, the more the sucking. Yes. So if the only way that you can regulate the sucking of the mouth is that one you can regulate it. The sucking of the only thing is that I think we're disgusted at that. But if the child, as Sister Olivia read, saying that if the child is able to drink the mucus fluid and to eat its what do you call cream, we that the child also eats the cream that they are born with. They can also drink, meaning that is more yours. Okay. And the only thing that we can find in there, it's the same cream and the mucus. And okay, so that is it's not bad. Yes. Because we learned that the child microbiota is built through the child eating the cremoso that they are born with, Vijayama, as they are born with the cream. As they are as the months are advancing, the cream reduces. So according to Sister Olivia, she's read saying that also the child does not only take the milk and the cream, also drinks the water. The fluid that is there also drinks that. You see? That's what we've learned.
I think the example that was brought of a chick is very interesting because have you noticed that when you see that a chick is about to, there are times when the mother is sitting on many eggs, then there are those that are late to hatch, then she tends to leave. Then the chick will start opening. The moment you help opening and that comes out, those don't survive. It's like we need to let them finish the whole process by themselves. That helps maybe to build their muscle and the strength as they come out, they'll be able to walk about. Many a time when you just begin or count laziness, then you start like picking, the helping, they don't progress. I don't know why it's like that. Yeah.
This one knows how to take care of it.
Mm.
Okay, so also the suction also is done in the nose and the throat, the mouth. Okay, so if we're able to do, we do wajaba wamwera tima using a mouth. We also use the mouth. None. No, see, what do you call it? It's a procedure. It's just a natural. Whichever child is born, they have to do that. Yes, they have to clear. Yes. So it's a procedure. No procedure.
So meaning nurses or midwifery have to do that.
Nurses or midwifery, they do that.
The other part is
It's the one I'm mentioning. We have to ask. Yes, not easy to be a midwife.
because this one is giving birth, you do the same, you go to the other one. And maybe that's why maybe they rely on now the syringes. Because they are not so sure. Like and nowadays where there's even the prevailing STIs and the such diseases, you may not know what you are sucking. Yeah.
Was delivery of the baby. Okay. Post delivery, we understand the word post, after delivery of the baby. So there's what you call, so the baby is, we haven't yet delivered what? The placenta. It's post delivery of the baby. So there's this that happens. Okay. The code. Okay. The code. So this code if you have a partner with you, the delivery doctor or midwife will usually ask them if they want to cut the cord. The delay lengthens. The delay length isn't yet standardized. Okay, others they say the delay length of the umbilical cord is not yet standardized. Medical opinion generally agrees that clamping is delayed when it happens more than 30 seconds after birth. Okay. The reason to why this is because of the bonding between the mother and the child to get the last nutrient from the mother, the child to get the last nutrient from the mother. Waiting 1 minute allows your baby to receive about 80 milliliters of blood from the placenta. After 3 minutes, this increases to 100 milliliters. Until recently, most experts recommended holding the baby at or near the level of the placenta, near the vagina, before clamping the cord to increase blood flow to the baby. You understand? So others, they will not, they will just let it fast, okay, to clamp, because once you clamp Mavala blood flow to the baby, you've reduced Mavala, which the child will not have these benefits that we are learning here. Yes, to delay the baby.
So does that explain now why other children, you find that they are said to be anemic?
Yes, others blue.
Yes. Okay.
So you delay once the placenta is still in the mother connected, but the baby is out.
Yes, the clamping is done after when the placenta is still in the mother.
Yes, yes. So before you cut, it is still connected, so that you allow. Now here, what I'm getting is, it's like 3 minutes is even better, because you have 100 milliliters of blood moving from the placenta to the baby. So if because here we are taught to say 30 seconds is when you can delay for 30 seconds after the child is born and the clamp, but it's saying that but waiting 1 minute allows your baby to receive about 100 milliliters of blood from the placenta. But if you go like 3 minutes, the blood increases to 100 mils. Now, those that are cut at 30 seconds, the disadvantage is that maybe they may lose out. Let's say if 80 will be for a minute, then it means 30 seconds will just be about 40. They will get 40 milliliters of blood from their mother. Hey. Okay, these things are getting.
Okay.
Let's say when you prolong the delay, what is the effect? Does blood only moves from the placenta to the baby? It does not move from the baby to the placenta. Is there any replacement or just one way? In case of a delay.
Ready? Let me summarize on this one. It says it was believed that raising the newborn born above this level could allow gravity to pull blood back into the placenta. This is a belief. Okay. It was believed that raising the newborn above this level could allow gravity to pull blood back into the what? Into the placenta, reducing blood flow to the baby. Because of that, some midwife and parents may feel reluctant to delay clamping if it also means a delay in skin-to-skin contact for mother and baby. If you want to delay cord clamping but still hold your baby right after birth, it may be possible to do both. It is also safe for the baby to latch on and begin breastfeeding right away. So others they without clamping, then you begin to breastfeed the child. The child will have benefits, they will connect to the mother, also get the last nutrient from the mother. Okay, routine newborn care, like weighing the baby, happens once the cord is cut. So that is the routine. You're weighing the baby, happens once the cord is cut. So others, about the centimeters. I don't know if I have these notes. Okay, I think maybe I have. Okay, I wanted to mention them before I go. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So Lotus birth versus delayed cord clamping. Lotus birth is one delivery method where the cord isn't immediately clamped or cut. In fact, it isn't cut at all. Instead, the placenta dries and falls off naturally. That is Lotus birth. Lotus birth is one delivery method where the cord isn't immediately clamped or cut. In fact, it isn't cut at all. Instead, the placenta dries and falls off naturally. This may take a few days to a week. What are the benefits? Delayed cord clamping offers the most benefits to preterm infants, but it also benefits full-term babies and mothers. This is a 2013 review. Trusted source linked delayed cord clamping to increased hemoglobin or HB and iron in full-term babies. This can reduce a baby's risk for anemia, the one that Wapiri mentioned. In 2015, a study trusted source looked at 263, that is 4-year-olds. Overall, the children whose cords were clamped 3 or more minutes after birth scored slightly higher on an assessment of fine motor skills and social skills than the children whose cords were clamped 10 seconds or less after birth. Delayed clamping may reduce the need for blood transfusions and improve circulation in premature babies. It helps lower the risk of bleeding in the brain and necrotizing enterocolitis, an intestinal disease that affects almost 5 to 10% of premature infants. Okay. So you've seen the benefits of reducing clamping. And this, you cannot do that if you are not in charge, right, of childbirth. You cannot do that. So I have to do more of the research on the Lotus birth. This one, how it is done. So this is an assignment that we have to do. The Lotus birth, how it is done. Because if it's done, there's no clamping or what. So meaning that the placenta is there. Then the child stays, then the cord dries on its own, naturally. No, Juba. Okay. So once this cuts, like for instance here, this.
Yes, I know what you're saying. Because clamping, closer to the body somewhere. Then the cutting maybe somewhere, okay, from one back. Yes. So where it is disconnected from the placenta. Yes. Now, when you say swastika clamp, it means wakajua waisia soche, right? Without kukafianta paswati ka.
That's the reason I said we have to research on
yes, I heard you when you said how Lotus is done, so that we understand. So that means elimination of clamping.
Because the reason why we do clamping is because you see now, this cord, this cord, it has two arteries, one vein. So there is blood. Yes. You're able to see the cord. It has two arteries, one vein. So if you clamp like this, clamping now, you are doing what? Because if you don't clamp, understand, then you just do, the child is going to have anemia because the child will be bleeding. Those are veins. Example, bleeding, I choke blood. Okay? So that's the reason I'm saying when you look at Lotus Chan, I think maybe they will leave they leave the placenta. No, saying maybe they leave the placenta.
Still connected to the baby.
Yes, still connected to the
Until it falls off. Wow.
That's why I do. Because if you cut it, you are cutting a vein.
Yeah.
That's what you are cutting. You are cutting the arteries and vein. The child will be bleeding. The child will have anemia.
Yeah, because you see, like the way you feed, it's like when you on one side you clamp this side and this side, so that the closest to the baby you clamp so that the veins are blocked from losing blood. Then you cut in between. You have to chasara kuli mai then kwa mwana so that kambo inda kayuma panima kavinga then it falls off. Now, what you are saying is that Mwafikachati, Mwaisia Sochebe, you cut. This meaning the connection is still there, blood will start flowing. So, like if you go down where they were showing the clamping, you clamp on two positions. Now, a permanent pin so that the baby, blood majankarache, ilimu body kapera pa the pankala clamp to sip it kwenda. Then mujubira komonga pa. Then with time akakanika the blood kaenda kayuma then kashita point ndio cha mkombo wa shetani wagwa. You remember that one? Yes, because kankala karibe blood supply anymore because placenta wakajuira pakati so that the mother na if kwando mkilinira uko they have their issues with the baby but the panema clamping mira paja blood manje izambo izachita mungati clot ipo ipelera clotting pamene paja. That's why mkaone kwa mkombo kwamba sala tunamunga tikabwaka vala kambo benda, so showing that those veins yalimwa kamba tutatu two veins and one artery yapo yankala sealed. Two arteries, one vein, yes, yankala closed, yakankala closed kumwamba kwane sikubwera any more blood and it's not connected to the placenta kamba kuyuma until kabwaka kugwa simame.
Yes, but what we're discussing is that when the child is born, the post-birth, the child is born, the placenta is in the womb. What is if you've given birth to the placenta, meaning the veins, they are disconnected to the mother. They've given birth to placenta. So meaning the drying, if we have to, that's the reason I'm given the assignment. Let us look at the Lotus chart. If they've given birth to the placenta, the veins which are connected to the placenta, these the veins that are connected to the placenta, there's a disconnection to the veins of the mother. So meaning that this blood, if we haven't cut, it can dry. Just like this one was drying. See, nah? So this one, this cord that is going to the placenta, just like the placenta is drying, also this can be drying. The cord, and it can eventually fall.
So meaning naturally the baby has a position balance that the baby of manage blood shouldn't go this side.
So but that one, let us give it another day. Let us. And what makes it four? The womb is built up of the velvet lining called the endometrium. So endometrium breaks also. Yes. Endometrium breaks at birth. And it breaks. So others, others, that's the reason those two Masiri ones, how much don't set up, Others, after the birth of the placenta, others how much don't set up. So, chacho. Yes. Others what you don't. Others was a great she was a fianta so. Then, a fianta papa. Then help you then madonsa, so or E24 on its own. Others they get ash, then they apply it. They get a bit of tumucha and ash, and they apply it in the line of umbalima, the vagina, then it will fall on its own. Those are the tradition. So they can check here. You see in here, this one is, you see now, arteries, one vein. So this is abnormal. It becomes like
one.
you understand, right? So they have to check. Okay.
Okay, Sister Deborah has a question. If for the sake of those who understand English, you can try.
Yeah, my question was based on Kairia Choka, what do you call it? Placenta. And then when you talk about the dryness there, the disconnection from the mother, yes, then lack of connection there brings about the dryness, isn't it? Yeah, so if the placenta was left alone with the baby there, for how long?
That is what he has said. We need now to study the Lotus kind, because we don't know what happens. Yes, because the normal one we know is where you go, we move a code, then one do. That's what we know. But the lesson is showing us that the more you delay the placenta from being cut from the baby, it helps the baby to get the blood in placenta.
Okay.
So maybe in the process you find that maybe the body of the baby has the way of sucking or pulling that blood, all the blood into itself, such that it helps to dry the placenta and then it falls off. So that we will be able to discover when we look deeper into the Lotus way as to what happens or what happens. Because remember, I read something to say there was a myth that ngati mwamulekerera mwana olo mwana akwera mukati akwera nyumba wako kwenda pamwamba pang'ono kuchita placenta blood ichoka mu mwana kubwerera mchani placenta. Yes, that was a myth, isn't it? Yes, so now we want to understand. That is where now the Lotus is going to help us when we go deeper into it, to know what really happens if the placenta is not cut immediately, left with the baby. Of course it dries, but as it dries, where does that? So meaning if your blood doesn't reach placenta, must find where to go. So that is the process that we need to understand. I'm sure that is your question. So that dry, then so that you block it, so that there should be yeah. So that is what we need to understand on that one.
There's no need of waiting for I don't know, for a week, for a combo.
Because it's still uzagwa now even in my days na kwa weeks. Exactly. So that is what now we need to understand, or at least we understand what happens to those who have had that kind of a process. How do they grow, or what are the benefits? I'm sure that's what Keagan was suggesting.
Because you see that Lotus way is tempting, because there are a lot of myths attached. It can also answer the reason why others feel like we can eat the placenta. You haven't heard the saying that we're eating the placenta. Because others, they get their placenta and go and eat it home. They eat it. Yes. Yes. Huh. Even the pharmacy, they started selling placenta tablets. Yes, another they make. So you've seen there are those benefits from the placenta. Even animals eat their placenta. You've understood?
Yeah. Seen those, I've watched.
So we can learn. So Lotus can help us answer most of the questions to why. But no, for spiritual, others for spiritual, they get the placenta and they plant it where water falls. Oh.
They said it's an assignment.
Yes. You studied a lot.
Not a lot, just where they say you leave the placenta attached, but I've not really seen where that is done, just from what I've read, that they leave it in a container or something, so like it falls off maybe within 3 to 10 days. What I'm not sure is if the placenta can stay those days without rotting, because there's blood in it. Yes, but it only takes the period that usually takes for the umbilical cord to 4 years of the baby. So within 3 to 10 days. Yes, but it's not discouraged because there might be infection. Yes, since there's blood, I'm sure it can even rot. Yeah, and it can be smelly, and there can be introduction of bacteria or yes, or infection to the baby, and they may develop jaundice. No, the condition of jaundice, is it less blood? Is it connected to less blood? Jaundice, like yellow sleep. So that's infection. Yes, so the disadvantages of the same Lotus method may cause the baby to develop jaundice. Yes, apart from other infections. I think that's the only thing I know about the Lotus, and some they do it because of I don't know, it's connected to spiritual, I don't know the spiritual benefits they do it. And it came about from that there's someone who discovered that chimpanzees, they don't I don't know, they don't cut the umbilical cord or something like that. Clear Lotus something. So they named it after he studied how the chimpanzees deliver the babies. Yes. So that's how it came about, the Lotus method of yes.
So they are saying, so we have to go deeper. We have to study that method, because they want to look at the fingertation, what is that? Fingertation method of plants. You discover that the sap, the way God created sap or chlorophyll, is that the gravity doesn't play a role. You understand?
Yeah, it can be produced in the roots, I mean, from the leaves, but it still go down.
Yes. So even the blood, you see, gravity doesn't play. The way God created us, gravity doesn't have a role in
the flow of blood.
In the flow of blood. Well, you understand? Huh? So we have to start at it.
Yeah, we have the mothers disconnected there.
But what we're looking in the Lotus one is that the child still breathing, so has the vein connected to the placenta, the veins. Look at the veins are still connected to the placenta. Then the child can pump blood from the placenta. Remember, they say, let me go to the heart. They say the heart pumps blood to all parts of the body. Okay. And we see the work of the veins and the arteries. The veins is to do what? To return blood to to the heart. So if we see that if the child is able, we have to study that one. If the child is able to get blood, the entire blood from there. So the only risky part, according to what he was reciting, is infection and jaundice. Infection and jaundice. That's the risky part. But the jaundice, I have to study how jaundice can come about. But infection is possible. The infection part is possible. Okay.
So according to what maybe better, maybe just wait for 10 minutes.
No, until we've studied that one, that's when we can decide. Because when you look at the drying of the placenta, we see once you've clamped, let me look at it here. Yeah, what is this? Placenta delivery. Okay, not on the clamping. On the clamping, there's no standard. Others they can use their hand. They can use their hand. The length of this your hand. Okay, from here. Okay, they use my couple manja so pa, then you measure, then you clamp where you clamp, then you put two fingers per cut here. So then you clamp. You understand that? You've understood what I've said. You put the placenta measurement. So the length of your yes, your palm. So from there, from the navel of the child to the 4 fingers, you measure. Then you clamp. Then you put 2 fingers per cut between the clamp. Okay. Then you clamp the other side. Okay. Yes. Yes. Then you cut per cut. That space that you left, you cut. The reason why they clamp is to reduce the blood flow of the child. Okay. Yes, and reducing the blood flow of the placenta going that side. That's the reason both are clamped. Then they cut per cut. They do cut per. Once it's cut, then the drying, then it will begin to dry.
Yes, because if you have measured like this distance, you clamp from here. You find that the whole part starting from here, all going up to where the clamp is, it all dries.
Yes.
And falls off.
Then you see even the falling is even miraculous. Discover that this doesn't dry like it just dries because it dries. Then the falling it falls this. Then this you still have it. We take a clamp, you still have it. You understand? Yeah.
So that's the point that I was trying to make, right? That if indeed people can, like what Sister Deborah was bringing across, if people can still leave it attached to the placenta, the placenta is still attached to the baby, you find that all this part will be able to dry and still fall off from, from the nerve of the baby. Because so now the question, like Sister Banda was mentioning, is the only disadvantage is that since that is still fresh, bacteria or whatever, or jaundice can affect the baby. That is the only thing that she says. Those are the possibilities. But in terms of it drying, whether you left it or you cut it, the falling point will still be at this level. Yeah, so it's like for as long as the child is outside, nature knows the limit where anything out from here going this side within 10 days, 3 to 10 days, must fall off. But what we have learned is, as that is the placenta is disconnected from the mother, but still connected to the baby, a delay helps the baby to get that blood which is in the placenta to itself. That's where Brother Keagan was saying that we need to understand the nature of those arteries. We say the arteries are the ones that do what?
They take blood too.
And then the vein?
Take blood.
Okay. So we have how many veins? One.
Yes.
And then we have two arteries. Okay. So that's where we need to understand deeper on the Lotus, I think, what those veins and arteries, the vein and arteries do, whether they help to bring all the blood this side, or they may have an effect, or there must be a position where that should be placed so that there is no retention of blood. Yeah, anyway, we will end.
So you have to make sure that you check. Once that is done, you have to check once you've cut, you have to check the cord. It should have two arteries, one vein. We should not have one artery, one vein.
You see, Andy, there's something that we need to understand again. When you go to the heart itself, it has also two things that are strange. Though we know that the arteries have a specific function of taking blood to where? To the body, right? And then also the veins have the duty of retaining the blood to the heart, right? You know that there's something that happens opposite. There is one, what we call it pulmonary artery. It functions the opposite of the whole arteries. You know that, right? So that is what we need now to understand about it. These ones that the baby has, the two of them, if they help to take the blood to the body, or they function the normal work of arteries. So that is another thing that I wanted us to understand. So you have the pulmonary artery. It doesn't function or do the function of the other arteries. Mm-hmm.
During the time the was
Because the deeper reasoning will be like this. It will be like the mother also sucks blood from the child. You see now, that is so if you say that the child will not be sucking blood from the placenta, it would mean saying that the mother sucks blood from the child during the 9 months.
And yet it is the mother that is supposed to essentially supply the blood to the... So maybe that's why I'm saying that we need to understand the work of these arteries. They may be called arteries, but their function may be that of veins.
Yes, and also the method of gravitation does not apply until the child is developed. They don't allow, because we have to study this one. Anyway, let us not discuss more because we haven't studied that part. So the thing that is remaining here to discuss is the placenta delivery. So I end here. The placenta delivery, then we're going to discuss the Lotus delivery the next time. Yeah, this is 12:30. Yeah? Unless there are questions and contributions. Hello?
So, according to what we have seen is arteries and veins are both types of blood vessels that play crucial roles in the circulatory system, but they have distinct functions. Arteries carry oxygen-rich blood away from the heart to the rest of the body. while veins carry oxygen poor blood back to the heart. Okay, so now that is what you have. Now, when you go to the pulmonary artery, okay, let's see, let's do the pulmonary artery, then you see. Okay, the pulmonary arteries function to transport deoxygenated blood from the right side of the heart to the lungs for oxygenation. So are you saying that the arteries carry oxygen-rich blood away from the heart to the body? But the pulmonary artery is the only artery that you find deoxygenated what? Blood. So it takes blood that has no oxygen into the lungs so that it may receive oxygen. And as it receives the oxygen, they are transported into the artery to go to the body. Then the veins get deoxygenated blood, takes it to the what? To the patient. Now, what about the pulmonary vein? Isn't it? Because we are trying to understand all these things. Okay? So we try to check for the pulmonary vein so that you understand. Okay? The pulmonary veins are blood vessels that carry oxygen-rich blood from the lungs to the left atrium of the heart. So are you seeing the opposite there? So arteries, they are not, all arteries are supposed to carry oxygen-rich blood to the whole body. But then the veins should carry deoxygenated blood back to the heart. Okay. Now what happens is when that blood is coming, which lacks oxygen, they move from the veins to the pulmonary artery. The pulmonary artery pushes that blood into the lungs to get oxygen. Now, that blood, when it is pushed by the pulmonary artery into the lungs to get oxygen, it doesn't leave the lungs into the arteries. It goes into the pulmonary vein, which carries now the oxygenated what? Blood to the left atrium of the heart, so that now the heart pushes that into the arteries. I don't know if you have noted the sequence. So there is one vein that carries deoxygenated blood called the pulmonary vein, whereas all the rest of the arteries carry oxygenated blood. Then all the veins carry deoxygenated blood, except the pulmonary vein carries the rich oxygenated blood to the left chamber of your heart, so that that heart now pushes it into the arteries to the whole body. The whole body pushes back the blood into the veins. The veins push that blood into the, okay. I read here, Brother Keagan says, the primary function of the umbilical arteries in the fetus is to transport deoxygenated blood and waste product from the fetus to the placenta. This is the opposite of how arteries function in the adult body. Are you seeing that exactly what I was saying, that we need to first understand these two arteries that are connected to the body. To say, instead of them having oxygen-rich blood, they actually carry waste and deoxygenated blood from the fetus to the placenta. So then it means that gives us one solution. Say, no wonder now the child has one vein. So that vein, instead of carrying deoxygenated blood, must do the opposite work. It carries oxygenated what? Blood. So that's why I was saying that there is much that we can learn from there. I think that's my contribution, Brother Keagan.
So we have to do the Lotus study. We do the Lotus study. Because it will be pointless to be throwing the placenta.
So exactly, this is what we were talking about. To say oxygen and nutrient transport. The umbilical vein carries oxygenated, nutrient-rich blood from the placenta to the fetus. Where in a natural human, at a big human like me, the arteries are the ones that carry oxygen-rich blood to the rest of the body. But in the baby, it is opposite. The vein is the one that has the rich oxygenated blood. The arteries have deoxygenated and waste.
This specific says the umbilical vein.
Umbilical vein, yes, okay. Or if I just say the vein, you may think it's for an adult. The umbilical vein, yeah, those carry oxygen-rich blood to the fetus. So meaning that is how, when the mother has a good circulation of blood in her arteries, then the baby gets it on the opposite end. The baby gets that oxygen-rich blood through the vein. Just like in our heart, we have the pulmonary vein, whose duty, when you follow the veins, it's supposed to carry deoxygenated blood. It is the only one that carries what? Oxygenated blood. And then the pulmonary artery also, it is the only artery that does the opposite of what the arteries do. It carries deoxygenated what? Blood. I hope now we are learning we are mastering the two. So yeah, anyway, thank you, Brother Keagan. All right, this is where our morning session ends. Unless there are quick questions, comments, or contributions before otherwise our time is not our best ally. We need to charge these gadgets. Okay. Sister Deborah Mumba, you are going to close for us in prayer, and you also pray for our food.
Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be your holy name. Let your kingdom come. Let your will be done on earth as it is done in heaven. Thank you very much for the studies which are beneficial. Help us, Jehovah God, to understand whatever we have learned and continue searching for the truth. We appreciate you for this Sabbath and for the blessings that I need. Help us to know how to observe it according to your commandments. Thank you for all that you have done up unto our lives. As we're about to break for lunch, we ask that you may bless even the food which you have prepared for us. For this we ask and more through our Jesus Christ. May it be done by answering our prayer. Amen.
All right, thank you. This marks the end of our morning session. We will meet at 14:30 when we will have another set of Bible studies. God bless you all, and bye-bye.